Good morning. Well, it's morning here. Welcome to Books Cause Insomnia. My name is Michelle, and I'm doing the Merry and Bright Readathon this year. I thought it'd be fun to vlog it. Today is day one. Did I just say that? I don't know. I'm still drinking my coffee. By the way, how cute is this mug? This used to be my mom's mug. She gave it to me. She used to collect the Coca-Cola Christmas polar bears, and she gave me her collection, and I'll probably keep collecting them myself now. So today is day one. It's Winter Wonderland, a book with white on the cover. This coffee is really good. What this coffee is Dunkin' Donuts vanilla coffee, and then I put eggnog in it, and then I put just a dash, well, really a little more than a dash, but I put a bunch of cinnamon in it, and I love it. I think it's so delicious, but I also like it because it has the cinnamon in it, and cinnamon is very healthy for us, so it's kind of nice to get that in my coffee every morning. I had a hard time finding a book with white on the cover when I was trying to figure out which books I wanted to use for each of the prompts, but I ended up deciding on this one. It's A Christmas Journey by Anne Perry, and I figured that's quite a bit of white right there. And this is a book that I got, gosh, it had to have been just over a year ago now. There was a rare bookstore that was going out of business here in Vegas, and they had everything on clearance, and I went down there and I found this in a back corner somewhere. They had all kinds of books that had been in boxes in a storage room, and just all kinds of stuff they had pulled out. And I didn't spend that much at all on this, and it's a signed copy, which is kind of nice. I'm not real into needing signed copies or anything, but it's still nice that I have that. And it's got deckled edges, which some people love and some people hate. I happen to love that. It says it's a first edition. And it says it was $21, but I didn't spend $21 on it. I think it was like probably, I think it was 90% off everything, so I probably spent $2.10 on it. I don't think I've ever read an Anne Perry book before, which is very odd considering that I love mystery novels so much. This book has some characters that have been in other books of hers returning, which doesn't mean anything to me, but Lady Vespasia is back again in this book. And she's from the Thomas Pitt series, it says. Christmas at the Berkshire countryside, and they've got a bunch of friends over, and somebody commits suicide. And then another person is ostracized and held partly responsible for the shocking turn of events. So Lady Vespasia learns more about the victim and the ugly forces that shaped her desperate deed. And she now understands the heartbreaking truth of the tragedy. So I don't know. I guess she's going to try to figure out what happened, and that'll be the mystery. But it sounds like a heartbreaking truth. So maybe it'll be kind of a heart-wrenching holiday story at the same time. It is 180 pages long, and I'm going to try to read this book today. Something about me that I may have never told you: I don't read hard cover books with the jacket on. I like to read them naked. I have a little box that I keep these in when they're not on books. It's just how I do it. So here's what the naked book looks like. It's actually quite pretty, just being, oops, it's upside down. It's actually quite pretty being pure white with silver writing. It kind of matches the white cover, doesn't it? The copyright for this book is 2003. Wow, it's been out for a while, huh? And it's dedicated to all those who contribute to the gift of friendship. That's beautiful. To all those who contribute to the gift of friendship. It's pretty. I have to read the 2 opening chapters of this book. Lady Vespasia Cumming Gould hesitated a moment at the top of the stairs. Applecross was one of those magnificent country houses where one descended down a long, curved sweep of marble into the vast hall where the assembled guests were gathered awaiting the call to dinner. First one person, then another looked up. To wait for them all would have been ostentatious. She was dressed in oyster satin, not a shade everyone could wear. But Prince Albert himself had said that she was the most beautiful woman in Europe, with her glorious hair and exquisite bones. It was not a remark that had endeared her to the Queen, the more so since it was probably true. What? So, I guess I'm going to be reading about more beautiful rich people, which is probably my least favorite way to start a book. But it was written or wrote in 2003 when this was still what we could expect from literally every book we picked up. So I guess that's part of what I should have expected. But yeah, so just right off the bat, I'm thinking, oh no. When I read about beautiful rich people whose lives are just perfect in every way, I'm kind of rooting for something bad to happen. So maybe that, I know she's not the one that kills herself though, so. I'm just being honest though, this is not really how I like to start books. So hopefully I'll like it, but as of now, I'm already kind of not sure. I'm about 20 pages in now, and I have since realized that this book is, well, it takes place in the 1840s. So that might be part of the disconnect for me with this whole beautiful, rich, aristocrat person. You know, it's like a lot of books that take place in that time era are like that. So I'm probably just going to have to kind of ignore some of the stuff I'm reading and rolling my eyes at. The first couple pages after that first page that I read to you, it was a lot of men looking at her excitedly. You couldn't stop staring at her, and then women glaring at her out of jealousy. And then the story finally started. And the story seems like it might be kind of interesting. It looks like there's 2 widows who are both vying for the same man. So I'm wondering if one of the widows isn't the one that kills herself in the book. We'll see. But luckily, I still have 160 pages left. Once I read those 20 pages, my workday got really busy. I didn't have a chance to read anymore. I usually read if I have a chance to take a break during the day, or that's one thing that's nice. I'm self-employed, so if it's slow, I will sit and read, and nobody's going to tell me I can't, right? So that's nice. That's really nice. But when it's not slow, I don't have a chance to read. And obviously, I'm going to choose the option of making money over reading a few more pages, right? But it was pretty busy the last couple hours of my workday. And then now I'm on my way to game night with my friends. We play Mahjong. And so it's going to be cutting it close. When I get home, I will start reading, and 160 pages between when I get home and when I go to bed. I guess that's possible. I might have to squeeze a few pages in the morning. Well, good morning. It is now Friday, day 2 of the Merry and Bright Readathon. And if I look tired, it's because I am. I ended up doing playing mahjong with my friends until a lot later than we normally go, because we've had to take some time off from the holidays, and we were having so much fun that we just played a little later than usual. I always pick dinner up on the way home on Thursday nights, because that's, game night. I don't have time to cook. And I'm assuming it's like this everywhere. I don't know. But here, anywhere that I go where I require somebody to be working where I am, which is kind of everywhere, right? It takes a lot longer than it used to. So where I went for dinner, it was a 15-minute wait just to place my order. I don't know. It's insane how much more time everything takes now. Like, I can't even do my errands usually during the workday like I used to, because I can't just run out and come back home. It's like such a process just getting everything done with the amount of time it takes now. Anyway, that's not why you're here. So I did finish this book, and I loved it, you guys. It was so good. There was something amusing and elegant and poetic and hopeful about it. It was very beautifully written, and it was quite the fun adventure to go on. I didn't want to put it down anyway. I mean, even if I wasn't doing a readathon, I probably would have stayed up to read it because I was so into the book. It ended up being an allegory about the true meaning of Christmas, which the message of this book is the true meaning of Christmas is friendship. And it goes deeper than that into explaining all of it and like what real friendship is and what it really means. And it was really a great book. I really recommend it. It is a little on the spiritual side. So if you don't like reading about God or the Bible, you might not like this. There's like a couple mentions of it, but then the true meaning of Christmas, right? There is that part. So I just wanted to give you a heads up if you're not into that. As I told you in the beginning, somebody commits suicide and they're trying to figure out why, and then I don't want to spoil the book, but it ends up leading to an adventure that is quite beautiful, quite the voyage. So if you are looking for a book to get into the holiday spirit, I really recommend this one. It's a little deeper than a lot of books are these days, which I love. It's almost even a little philosophical, definitely spiritual. I thought it was so good. I definitely give it 5 stars, which is probably not a surprise. How many 5-star books have I had this year now? I'm like a love it, think it's okay or hate it kind of girl, and there's not a whole lot in between those 3 things for me. Like, I'm usually a DNF, a 3-star, it was okay, or a 5-star person. I don't really do a lot of 2 and 4-star book, ratings. Not that I don't, but it's just not as often. So I ended up reading until 2 a.m. And it was a pleasure to do so. I really enjoyed it. I would have wanted to do that whether I was doing a readathon or not. And I knew all along the first day of the readathon would be the most difficult because of my having my mahjong game night. I knew it'd be really hard to read a whole book on that day, but hey, I did it. I did. The fun part is I woke up at 5:30 for work, so that's why I'm so tired. 3.5 hours of sleep. Day 2 is Hot Cocoa, a book that gives you cozy vibes. The book I selected was Gingerdead Man by Maya Corrigan. The cover gives me cozy vibes. I want to sit in this room eating cookies and drinking coffee and reading books and looking out the window at the snow and all the lights. That's what I want to do. Now, reading the back, what this book is about is the protagonist in this book, her name is Val, and she has a tea party, and someone ends up poisoning Santa. Sometimes a synopsis is super kitschy and has a bunch of buzzwords in it, but it doesn't really quite make sense what they're saying the book is actually about. And that's how I felt about this synopsis. I didn't really like the synopsis, but I read a bunch of blurbs about the book before I got it, and of course I fell in love with the cover, and I decided to go ahead and give it a chance. But the synopsis on the back is just... Have you read any Maya Corrigan books? I have not. Also, have you read any Anne Perry books? I have never read Anne Perry before. Now I think I might read more of her books, though, because that was very beautifully written. It's now Friday night. I'm 27 pages into this book. And I'm enjoying it so far. It takes place in Bayport, Maryland. The protagonist's name is Val, and she is part of a group who's putting on, what's it called? Sorry. The Dickens of a Holiday Festival, where everyone dresses up as Charles Dickens characters, which is kind of fun. If you're a fan, I guess. I don't know that I would recognize most of the characters unless they were from A Christmas Carol. But I'm already learning about some of the characters from other books that I didn't know about, and they sound quite compelling, actually. I'm really enjoying reading about the town and how the streets are decorated. Because it's a fair, there's a bunch of crafts and arts and crafts and such being sold, so it's fun to read about that. And she's kind of walking down the street and running across different people she knows, so it's kind of introducing different characters as she comes across them. Her grandfather lives with her, and they seem to be pretty close, which makes me feel a little bit more in the holiday spirit, because I was really close with my grandpa, and he's already kind of reminding me of my grandpa. This is the character of her grandpa. He likes putting on a show. He likes acting, which that was my grandpa. My grandpa was in quite a few musicals in his life, and he just loved that. I guess showmanship, I guess you would say. And, they're not identical. There's things about her grandpa that are different, but just his sense of humor and some of the stuff he's saying and doing, it just kind of reminds me of my grandpa. So it's bringing back good memories since he's no longer with us. Now, she works in a tea shop, and they put on tea parties, and I don't know I'm assuming they do it all throughout the town, but in this book so far, and she's done quite a few tea parties in one night at a bookstore. And it's in the cat corner, which stands for coffee and tea corner, right? Well, there is a cat that lives back there, a black cat, which, I love black cats. I got 2 of them myself. And this cat used to live in the cemetery that's behind this bookstore. Well, her boyfriend, who works in the bookstore and lives above the bookstore, decided to adopt the cat because it had been homeless. And so now the cat spends half its time out in the cemetery where it used to live and half the time in the cat corner of the bookstore or upstairs with their new owner. I can't remember if the cat is a boy or a girl, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm only 27 pages in. I already have all the information I just told you. I won't be giving you too much specific information from this point on because I don't want to ruin anything, but I figure 20, 30 pages in, it's not really revealing anything too terribly spoiler-esque. So I read the first 2 chapters and I am on page 28. The first person has just keeled over. So the mystery will already be starting, which I love. I kind of don't like it when mystery books go through all the characters and do this very long, drawn-out storyline for 100 pages and then a crime happens. Like, I kind of like it when the crime happens within the first 50 pages. It's just a thing. I mean, it's not a must, but I just prefer it. I do like that the author has already started with the mystery. And there's already a couple people in my mind that I think don't like this person. So I already have a few suspects in my head, which is kind of fun. Good morning. It's now, what day? I always have to do this. What day is it? It's Saturday morning. Brad and I are on our way to go look at some houses and go have some brunch. What we're doing is, since we're moving to a different neighborhood, every time we go look at houses, we're going to specific neighborhoods, and we're trying to go eat in that neighborhood, or go to breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or like go have a couple drinks or something and go to a place in that neighborhood so we can kind of get a feel for what the neighborhood feels like. I know that might sound kind of weird, but it seems to be working really well. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to go have brunch, and then we're going to go look at some houses that are all in that neighborhood. Brad just ran in and got our mail because we have a P.O. box, and my book of the month came in, so I wanted to show you what I got. Now, a lot of people, I don't know if you have to have been subscribed for a certain amount of time or what, but they did something really neat this year where they had the top 5 finalists for the book of the year, and you got to pick which, like, if you wanted, you got to pick which one of those you wanted them to send you for free. So the one that I picked was The People We Meet on Vacation. I haven't read this yet, and I'm not normally a romance person, but I hear this book is really good. So I thought, why not give it a chance? If it's so good, it's one of the top 5 finalists for book of the year, I want to give it a chance. I think it's about 2 friends that have always gone on vacation together every year, and they stop going for some reason. And then one of the friends says, look, let's just go one more time, and I think they end up hooking up. Then I've got the book that I chose for this month, which was one of the books that I had mentioned in my upcoming books for winter video that I did, that I was excited to read. So now there's one other book I want to get for December. There was 2 that I just felt like I had to read. This one is part of my book of the month. The other one I'm going to have to buy. But A Flicker in the Dark by Stacy Willingham is the one that I selected. I love this cover. That alone, right? Isn't that beautiful? This is the book about the woman who had a dad that had been arrested for killing some girls, and she's now a therapist, and now girls are getting killed again where she lives. That's what this one is, that book. Also in my book of the month box, I got my bookmark, If You Wish Upon a Star You Might Read Your TBR. Yeah, right? That's cute. And then there's the seasons readings that they sent. They sent this last year too, I think, with some stickers on it, and I usually use those. I'm such a nerd. I do. I really love them. And then they have this little card here. I don't know why, but I keep all this stuff. I put them in my book journals and stuff. I just think it's kind of fun to look back and what were the finalists and that kind of stuff. So these were the finalists. I'll be honest with you. I voted for Razorblade Tears as my favorite book of the year. I voted for that book on Goodreads and Book of the Month. And I'm going to be doing a video of my top 5 books of the year, or maybe top 10. I'm not sure how I want to do that yet, but this is my favorite book of the year. I can't imagine at this point, with only a couple weeks to go, anything blowing it out of the water. But for Book of the Month, the book of the year was The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, which I really did enjoy. And somebody had mentioned that, and Kristen Hanna's books, the woman is always such a victim. They're always really mistreated by men, and they don't like that. Here's the thing about it, though. I've been reading Kristen Hanna for a long time. I'm from Seattle. She's from Seattle. So she used to be in the Barnes & Noble, that section where they have local authors. Her books would be sitting there. So I started reading her pretty quick into her writing career. And her books weren't like that at all when she was writing just regular romance. But now that she's writing historical fiction, that is the situation. And I think the reason that women in her books are so mistreated by men and so victimized by them is because, I hate to say this, but I think that's historically accurate. And I think it's a nice reminder of how far women have come in women's rights. We didn't used to have the rights that we do now. We didn't. I remember, so my great grandma, she actually left my great grandfather. Now, that sounds like, oh, okay, whatever. Well, my grandpa was born in the late 1920s. I think it was 1927. So that would have been 1940 that she left my great grandfather. That was unheard of back then. And it wasn't very long after that she lived in St. Paul, Minnesota. It wasn't long after that she moved away to California. And I'm just doing a quick video. And I've always wondered if she wasn't kind of ousted from society for divorcing him, because nobody did that. But I think it's kind of badass, and I'm proud of her. When I do genealogy, she's one of my favorite ancestors, because I think that's really cool too, that she did something like that back when that was not acceptable. Women didn't have the right to leave their husbands back then, and she did anyway. So anyway, we're gonna go get our brunch, and we've got Brad ran into 7-Eleven to get some waters and stuff. So we're on our way now, and I will check back in with you later when I have a chance to do more reading. The book, though, I've read about. I didn't get as much done as I wanted. I was so tired last night, but the book is really good so far. I'm really enjoying it. It's it's probably not gonna be a 5-star book, but I would say it would probably be a 4-star book. Like, it's a good cozy mystery. It's just nice and relaxing and entertaining.